I am Gabriella Martinéz. I am a postdoctoral researcher in Abo Akademi. I mainly focus on trying to understand how the inflammatory response is regulated. So we specifically focus in understanding an regulatory system that control protein expression and protein regulation and protein localization and also function. So it is really important because of course it controls how our cells respond, not just during physiological condition or healthy condition, but also during certain type of diseases. Well, what made me happy, or what actually have made me happy at this point is that we have found that this specific regulatory system that we work in the lab, which control, as I told you, so different step of protein actually function within the inflammatory response. So we have found that this regulatory system is altered during cancer. And so by controlling and by modulating this regulation of the regulatory system, we have found that we can somehow repress the progression of the disease, but also we can, for example, have a little bit more information about the progression of the disease, the stage of the cancer. So in that sense, it is exciting. Of course, we still are at the preliminary level, but it will be nice, of course, to get it to, of course, a more bigger step, and maybe, of course, use it in the future as a biomarker or either as a drug for cancers. But let's see. It is really me, as many others in biology and cancer research, and of course in inflammatory research, we would like, of course, at some point to go from our bench to the society, and our idea, of course, at some point is that we can use this knowledge, which is very important, of course, for then transmit it to, for example, pharmaceutical companies, or to even, of course, in the lab at some point, so whether we can generate better approaches and more efficient ways how to diagnose cancer and many other diseases which are related with inflammation, but also, of course, to generate better drugs and better ways, of course, how to treat. Well, immunology is a very exciting topic for me, as I am also a pharmacist and of course at research biology. And together we know, I know, of course, that inflammation and immunity not just control our health in general, on our, of course, state of health, but it also can influence a lot of our diseases. And it's important because there are so many things that we still don't know about immunity and how it's regulated, and how, of course, it passes from healthy conditions to disease. So I think, the immune system and all the knowledge that we have, of course, gotten from research in immunity is so important, because so far we have been able to, of course, not just to treat a lot of diseases that which in the past, of course, we have been able to treat, but also we have been developed tools that allow us to better somehow mark the diseases, or like project, of course, how the disease will go. And still, of course, there are so many findings that probably will come in the future on immunity, and I am so glad to be part of course, of this team working here in Turku on immunology, but also, of course, in the world as well. I think, of course, and I hope, we here in the lab, of course, we work very hard in trying to of course, work in our small molecules and small proteins, but at some point the idea is to go from whatever we do in the lab to the public, because we, as a researcher, we would like, of course, to impact public health, and to generate at some point some new tools and new approaches to decrease, of course, our risk for developing cancer and many other related diseases. And I hope at some point my research will contribute to that.